Hi, everybody. I hope you can hear me. I am trying to make my sound better. So I'd appreciate some thumbs up. So today is 1,181 days since Richard vanished from the barracks there at Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas. And he didn't just vanish. We know that he was code reded. We know that um, tools were used to dismember him, and we're getting closer and closer. Oh, geez, I have chills everywhere um, from all the information that we're getting from these houses. It sounds like the sound is okay. So I'm on there. I see everybody. Thank you so much for coming on. And it, so good news. Our hero, the active duty soldier on Fort Bliss, who has, you know, he has questions. He has questions. He wants to know what the heck is going on with security on Fort Bliss. And he was not getting answers. Matter of fact, he got quite the opposite with the JAG office there on Fort Bliss. And so he has put an inquiry to Congress to answer those questions, and a request for Congress to inquire for him. As an active duty soldier, he's not like a civilian. He can't just, if he doesn't like his situation, just quit, right, and walk away. He can't do that. And with all these wars continuing and new wars starting, soldiers have the right to ask questions. And so he put in a question, a request for an inquiry on several different um, sit, uh, situations. The young girl, 14-year-old, living in the barracks being prostituted out, the JAG not answering his fraud, waste, and abuse questions, Richard's uh, disappearance, and what has been going on in that. And we are very, very grateful for that. Very grateful. So that is moving forward. That's huge news. That's support, right? That is institutional support. And that's what we're looking for here, because we have everything. We have 3905 Bliss Avenue. We have 3705 Bliss Avenue. We have the connections with the Rocha, the Ortega, the Katzen, the Soto, the Rivas family. Those houses are also life estates, which is, let me read that off because I just looked that up. Life estates, because I didn't know what life estates were, um, because that made it a little bit more difficult to find who is connected with those properties. So, like Tanya Katzen, it's pretty clear that she's connected to 3905. But for Eddie Rocha, for Maria Magdalena Rocha, and many other people. Um, so, but that was very important, because that means that Eddie Rocha and Tanya Katzen, um, they're family. They are family. And that means that Danae, Katzen, and Belen Rocha are family. And that Soto's name is there. I don't know. I don't know about that. I just know that Soto's name is in connection. I don't know if it's the same Soto. I haven't did I haven't done a deep investigation into Marlon Soto, which it needs to be done. But see, we have institutional support on that front, because we have gotten confirmation that they're looking into him already. And now with this new information being a supplement, right? Um, yeah, so we have confirmation that they are looking into him, and they're also looking into property over in Mexico. We did get confirmation for that. We got confirmation that they're looking into Lalani Hart, so which is very good, uh, because this, and there's going to, well, it's all going to kind of crumble like Dallas Hart's alibi, right? Dallas Hart, his alibi has totally crumbled. I need to focus a lot on that because he is a prime suspect in this case. And, but it's getting a little bit interesting. It's getting a little bit interesting with Laura Holquin Stevens Provencio, and somehow she's connected to Carlos Katzen. So, yes, you've got me right. So Laura Stevens is connected to Carlos Katzen. Um, that is very interesting. You can't make this stuff up. You cannot make this stuff up, and um, so I know I'm shocked at just saying it. Uh, let's go on, of course, and then we have Claudia Rivas, and Claudia Rivas is connected to this Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia. That's very, very important. Um, that Claudia Rivas. There's a Maria Rivas, and then there's a Claudia Rivas, and she's also connected to the 3705 Bliss Avenue and 3905 Bliss Avenue. Um, so that all of this is kind of coming together, and we're starting to understand that this is a small group of Rochas, Katzens, Rivas. Um, uh, who else is in there? The Ortegas. Uh, who knows this Soto? But that they're all in this little criminal business, and you know absolutely connected with Dallas Hart. Um, and we'll be, you know, trying to connect all the dots on all of this. Is well, how do I say it? It's so dangerous. It is satisfying to the degree that Richard has no criminal record. Um, all of the things that they have said about him are like, people just laugh now. They're like, they do the same thing over and over again, the SOP over and over again. They want to smear you, think bad about you. And I think about Asia Graham on this one, because she was like, I've been raped. And, they put her rapist 2 doors down from her. They gave her a hard time. But then when she died through all of this because of their negligence, their dereliction, their sick cult, trying to, I don't know, make the barracks not a place you would want to live. Remember, the SOP for the barracks is that they have to make it a place that they would want to live. Okay? And it was not a place you would want to live. And I should bring forth all that paperwork again, because Richard had that in his paperwork about um, the the leadership's obligations to the barracks, right? And that was not being followed, and they're culpable for what they have done and what they're doing in the barracks with our service members. And when they found Asia, after she had passed away, R.I.P. Asia, and it was just, because you could get, it was a marketplace for illegal drugs. It was sexual harassment, rape, of course, lots of alcohol, a frat party every day. They're locking them in because of the COVID, and then they say after she's gone, "Oh, she was just a fantastic soldier." Wait a minute. You've got things a little bit. You can say that she's a fantastic soldier, but you need to say she's a fantastic soldier, humanize all of our service members way before you treat them like they're nothing. Um, and and multiply the evil that is going on Fort Bliss to enter in their own living areas, putting her rapist two doors down from her. I mean, how cruel can you be? So, I'm just thinking about the three beheadings. Uh, of course, Vanessa Guillen, she was beheaded. People don't talk about that because she was dismembered. Dismembered means she was beheaded. And of course, Enrique Roman Martinez was also beheaded. And then Austin Hawk, I guess that is a gray area, but when they went to go pick him up, they had to hold his head on um, because he had so many lacerations in his neck. And this happened in April, May, June, right before Richard went missing. They were in, anxiety mode, panic mode, crisis mode. They were in crisis mode. Um, what was happening in the military, and they were being held accountable. All of a sudden, they got more bad news. They got more bad news. So on July 5th, they had to announce to the world that they had found the beheaded, the burnt up, the chopped up, the bludgeoned, uh, you know, so badly treated Vanessa Guillen for being a whistleblower, not offering her any protection at all, really letting her down. The same thing with Austin Hawk. He wanted to be moved out of there. He was a whistleblower, and of course, he was retaliated against. Um, and then I believe Enrique Roman Martinez didn't want to go along with what was going on, and he also ended up being killed. So this is in the cover up, in the cover up, in the cover up, because they don't want to be held accountable for the damage that they're doing in the military. And I think this is could be because it's so systemic. I think it's across the board in the military. They want to make it a weak military, and now we're being invaded, absolutely invaded every day on our border. And then now they're talking that they want these legal immigrants. So somehow, some way, they're going to make these illegal immigrants legal immigrants, and they're going to put them in our military and put our guns, our weapons in their care, and give them ammunition, and give them the air defense artillery, and give them the cavalry, right? The tanks. They're going to give them, um, they're going to try to make them a military. And, this is the danger um, because we have such a low uh, enlistment, and I think they did that on purpose. That's how I feel at this point, because anybody that wants better enlistment would make the army would really click a lot of hills together if they were uh, held accountable for having this low recruitment. They would um, be doing a better job in disciplining and having a safe place in the barracks to live and good training, and they would have oversight of all of these crimes when it comes to our weapons being smuggled, our equipment being smuggled, our ammunition being smuggled out, and then human trafficking being part of the military with the emergency intake centers, and 85,000 unaccounted for minors, right? And then also the narcotics trafficking, along with the class 6 being right beside the barracks, y'all. The class 6 where they buy the booze is right beside the barracks. And if you were a leader, you'd make try to make it a little bit harder for these young people coming in, that some of them don't have cars, right? But no, they strategically do it to destroy our soldiers. And we know that, for an example, there's tons and tons of examples, but the soldier that was trained there at Fort Bliss, right? And he told the Russian press that he was drunk the whole time. He just stayed drunk the whole time that he was at Fort Bliss. Never got called out, I guess, for being drunk all the time. But he had went over um, to fight in, oh, what is that, war with Russia? Geez, I don't even like to pay attention to it. Anyway, and he defected. The Ukrainian war. He defected into Russia. I guess he saw that the Russian army was more prepared, and he thought, my chances are better with the Russian army. I'm going to go defect. Um, so he went over on that side and said, "Oh, I want to be a double agent," and oh my gosh. But he said he was trained at Fort Bliss. He was trained at Fort Bliss. You know? What kind of training is that? Of course, he didn't learn much because he said he was drunk the whole time. Um, and the fact of this, and the point of what I'm saying, is that we have been told by multiple people that they were drunk all the time, not just him, and that the leadership, including Richard, said to us, not that he was drunk, uh, because he has no criminal record at all. They're in big trouble on that 9th of July. But he did tell us, um, yeah, Mom, I, you know, I can't go out. I can't go out because they're so bad. He felt his life was in danger. I know that now because he said he couldn't even leave his room because he would be in danger. So his life was in danger from the military leadership. And he said they were so bad. They're so bad. And he didn't want to be an NCO and he didn't want to go green to gold. He just wanted to get out. Um, so that's huge news. So um, something to remember, right? The one other thing I wanted to talk about that, going back and reliving so many of the situations in this case, the field grade Article 15 has been sanitized from Richard's archive file. So it's like he never got the field grade Article 15. It hasn't been rescinded because he still has the punishment of that. He never, of course, they promoted him twice in April of this year and December of 2022. So it is, it's just very strange that they started chaptering him, and legally they can't, when they're starting to chapter you, unless they have no intention of throwing you out of the military, they can't give you a field grade Article 15. So legally, we're going through all of this, and when you think about it, it makes absolute sense because the field grade Article 15 is to discipline the soldier in order to um, rehabilitate him and send him back to duty, right? That's the whole point of these Article 15s. And, so it was never to throw him out. So we're looking at all the legal aspects of it, and they're so wrong. They're so wrong on every front. And so that makes them culpable of the bullying, of participating in the Code Red, and with the family connections at 3905 Bliss Avenue, at 3705 Bliss Avenue, and then we have another address that I'll let you know about tomorrow after we do some investigation on it. But with that, it's very clear that the CID has betrayed us, that they knew that Boleyn and Danae were related. They um, they sent the PI to just interview two people, that is Boleyn and Danae, because that really makes you think, how is Soto involved? Maybe he does know something about that house. Well, we'll get to the bottom of that. But it seems like, no, the more important people are like Claudia Rivas, the more important people are Leilani Hart and Dallas Hart. Um, and, now we have the Laura Stevens with Carlos Katzen connection. These, it seems like a small group of people, but they have, places in the IG, places at Park University, places at the DES, or security of Fort Bliss, or CYS administrator, or in the VA, or in the CID, and of course at Park University. Again, I have to say that very clear. And they seem to have some people in media. Okay, so this is it might be a small group, but they're very well placed with their positions, and that allows them to carry on their crimes of gun smuggling, ammunition smuggling, equipment smuggling, uh, narcotics trafficking, human trafficking, uh, these the pedophile, the child porn, which is child torture. They have this all all worked out, and it works like clockwork for them, and that's why they're so brazen. That's why they're so brazen with the FBI, and the FBI is brazen with them. Um, and that's why we've had the confirmation that we have an FBI informant even trying to mislead us and everything. But God directs us. So that's, and we wouldn't have found out about Nadal Baim being the father-in-law of Lieutenant Colonel Bugado in the G3 of the 32nd ADCOM if it wasn't for this very brave cashier, super brave cashier. We wouldn't know about the CPS unless Boleyn had told us. We wouldn't know about the sex videos if Boleyn hadn't told us. So we had to look into them, into the reports of them, and voila, we have now the addresses: 3905 Bliss Avenue, 3705 Bliss Avenue. And so it seems to be that that Boleyn Rocha lived in the 3905 house. Seems to be. The other one is not really a house. It's kind of like more like a business place. So, we have the question now. Uh, can they please deny or confirm that 3905 is involved in the CPS complaints that Richard made? That would be very, very helpful. And so that's how, this is how this is all happening. They didn't want to release the CPS complaints to us. They didn't want to release the monies to us. They didn't want to release the names and the locations to us. But because they just are impotent, really, literally impotent, um, God works around them, and all of a sudden we have Nadal Baim's name, we have the addresses, and then the institutions go, oh, wow, they're getting along, so we're going to give them support now. We're going to look into Marlon Soto. We're going to look into Leilani Hart. We're going to look into this area of interest over at Kilometer 29. We're going to look into, yes, we are getting institutional support like that. And that's very, very important to mention because when you see that the CID lied to us when they had a heads up, it's kind of like what happened in Israel right now, right? They had a heads up that this was going to happen. And I'm not saying, making any excuses, that it's not an atrocity and that atrocity needs to be accounted for. But what I'm saying is that they had a heads up, so there's leadership that is not doing their job and they're putting the people in danger. And the same thing that happened over there, that happened even in Palestine, because Richard and I, we even were there. We were there. We went to Bethlehem. We went to Cana. Cana and Bethlehem are both in Palestine, or the Palestinian held area. And, we went to Jerusalem. We went to Masada. Masada is also in the Palestinian area. And I can tell you, they don't get trash pickup. Okay? It's very trashy over there. Why aren't they getting trash pickup? So you put these people in a situation, and I think the last leader that just passed away for Palestine, he passed away as a multi-billionaire, right? As a billionaire. So it's not just, oh, you can't just blame it on it's kind of like in our country. You can't just blame it on Republicans or blame it on Democrats. The blame, is right across the board. Is right across the board. So this is greedy people at the top, and they'll side with whoever, and they make the people suffer, and then they let them be targets for these bombs, or let them be the army to bomb because they're hypnotized in what the leaders have told them and think that it's the truth. And because I'm telling you, we saw what was happening there, and you know, um, it's such a beautiful area of the world, and it breaks my heart to see that they're bombing because people uh, in Jerusalem, the amount of different cultures that are there, uh, it's I don't think the rest of the world understands until you go there and you see all the different cultures there, all the different peoples from all over the world. And so it's just an amazing experience, and it just broadens your understanding that this is more of a money leadership problem than it is for a people, because the people, um, they have embraced people from all over the world. Um, so it's more of a, like if you want to say a barracks where there's supposed to be SOP and there's not, and they turn it into a very violent place. That's what the leadership is doing, and that's what they did in the barracks. They have turned it into a very violent place, and it can be cleaned up overnight. They could click hills together overnight, and I believe that's the same thing with a lot of these skirmishes around the world. So, yeah, so for Richard's case, yes, thank you so much for your thumbs up on that one. Um, so in Richard's case, we have this really odd field grade Article 15 that has been wiped away. So we're going to be questioning all of that and requesting different things for the GOMAR, for the GOMAR made permanent, for the Chapter 14, for the field grade Article 15, and of course, um, this investigation into Soto, full force, and more added. more added to that, a supplemental to the criminal complaints that we have. And of course, we're putting together other other reports to put in about Dallas Hart. Of course, Leilani Hart is being looked into already, but we're going to add supplementals on that one. We put in a criminal complaint against her already. And of course, we have to look into the Major General Eisenhower, because he is left without any excuses, and he can't just obstruct justice in our son's case and not think that there's going to be accountability for that. And he has not been misled any longer. He can't use that as an excuse, because we have written him diligently. Diligently, we have written him about everything that we knew. So another letter is going to go out to him, especially because of all of these connections and how these are connected. Um, I also, what did I put up today? Oh, these life estates. Yeah, that is. Let me see if I can edit these a little bit so they look better, because I copied them off of another site. Yeah. Okay, I have them on Telegram on Farm Richard Halliday. A life estate, and these houses are in life estate. So, what is that? It's a legal agreement that grants a person, referred to as the life tenant, the right to live in a property for the duration of their life, after which ownership reverts to another party, referred to as the remainder man. In the context of the properties at 3905 and 3705 Bliss Avenue, the life estate likely involves specific individuals who have been granted the right to reside in or utilize the properties during their lifetime. Life estates can be established for various reasons, such as providing housing for a family member, ensuring a surviving spouse's right to reside in a property, or as a part of an estate planning strategy. The remainder man, who gains ownership after the life tenant's passing, may be specified in the legal documents. The terms and conditions of a life estate can vary widely and should be outlined clearly in the legal agreement. So this is uh, you know, why it was a little difficult to get who really owns, who's really behind these homes, and but we did. We figured it out, and I think it's very important for everyone to know. So let's see if I have another. Yeah, the life estates. And I told you about this Carlos Katzen. This Carlos Katzen, if you have any information on Carlos Katzen, who is connected to Laura Stevens Holguin Provencio, we would really appreciate it. That would be 941-677-0060, because it seems like they knew Richard. They knew Richard, and Carlos Katzen absolutely seems to have known Danae Katzen. And, um, you know, maybe he lives near 3905 Bliss Avenue, right? Maybe he does. I don't know. So that's why we're asking. We need clarity on that relationship. So that would be Laura Stevens Holguin Provencio, and then Carlos Katzen. So that would be a huge help, because it seems like they knew Richard. Yeah. This Claudia Rivas at 3705 Bliss Avenue and including 3905 Bliss Avenue is also, um, we're asking for more information on that. Her relationship, connection with Thomas Hoffman, the son of Rosa Maria uh, Valdez Garcia, who was married and divorced to Alexander Hoffman. And so this is, I think Alexander Hoffman died in the Walmart shooting. Um, so this is, very important information, pretty sensitive information. So we would really appreciate any kind of um, tips when it comes to these people because it seems to have all happened that in that area in connection with Fort Bliss. Of course, Van Buren's house, that seems to be like connected to the Ortegas. Um, and then into, and I have to say, seems like, right? Going into um, Mexico. It is another thing that I remembered was when uh, Delirious first made the complaints to FBI that Richard remains were in Mexico. And, we asked for them to look at that area that she was pinpointing. We gave them the GPS coordinates. And we're looking into that more because that seems to have connections now that mean something that we wouldn't even have known to look for at that time. So there's connections with that GPS coordinate. And I don't know if I put it up, but I would be glad to do it. I'd be glad to do it. Let me put it up. I think that would be very helpful. Let's see. Let's see. I know I have it. Maybe I don't. I have to look for it. Yeah, let me do a search for this GPS. Yeah, here it is. Got it. And thank you for being patient on that one. Thank you for being very patient on that one. But this is in Mexico. So I'm going to add that to the Find Richard Halliday. The Mexico, that's kilometer 29 GPS. And if you know anything about that area, okay, there we go. And I'm going to double check because I had it on my copy and paste. Maybe I should add it to our little conversation. Maybe I'll do that a little bit later. Let's see. I'm going to check and make sure that that's the area. Okay, ends in 11 and ends in 11. Yep, I got it right. Okay, so let me put that on Facebook and then you will have the GPS coordinates for the kilometer 29. And if anyone has information, that would be super helpful because something stinky is going on there. And the people of of Juarez are sick of it. They are absolutely sick of their death toll. Absolutely. I was there. I hugged so many of them. I can't even tell you, and this is during COVID. I did not care one bit. Um, in times like, what we were living through, people need a hug, right? And I don't believe in the germ theory. I believe in the terrain theory. So I wasn't afraid at all. And of course, I drink my vitamin drink and try to take care of myself. And, I put my, you know, I mean, you have to be smart. But at the same time, I have grandkids and I see them, what they do. And I can't worry about the germ theory because, um, what am I, what are you going to do? You're going to change the way people, especially kids, are? No, so, you have to raise them up in the way they should go, of course. But if they one wants a bite of another one's French fry or popsicle or whatever, and they're playing out in the dirt, and I have a little sandbox out in the back of my house, and they play in that, and they just have a great time in the garden. And if I had to worry about germs, I have a little pool, and at the end of it all, they all jump in the pool, and I spray them off, and we're good to go. Get some towels, you know, um, and they eat nice, eat healthy, drink healthy. Sometimes, like we're the stick walkers powered by gummy bears. We went on a walk today. Oh yeah, that was such a good thing. Yeah, that's our little saying with the grandkids. They each have like a walking stick, and that's how we get them to walk and walk. We're like, we're the stick walkers, powered by gummy bears. We're the stick walkers, And so after, in our state park, like many, you have the little colored markers on the tree, and once we get to that colored marker, then we each get a little gummy bear. And, so we want to keep going, right? If only, the world were powered by gummy bears, right? Um, yeah, they're the cutest thing in the whole world. They keep us going. So we went on a walk today, and when we were there at the park, coming in, there was press there, and so of course, I jump out and I go and introduce myself to the press. And, so that was very positive. I told the whole story um, of Richard's case. And we'll see. We'll see what happens because suppressing the press is suppressing Richard's story. And I absolutely can say that because I talked to Angela Kacherga on the phone, and she was not interested in Richard's story at all. And we have a confirmation that an FBI informant was part of Team Find Richard Halliday. We have the Nadal Baim situation. We have this small little gang in El Paso on Bliss Street that's not so bliss. Um, you know, absolutely involved in our son's case. And Angela Kacherga doesn't want, because she wrote a secondary uh, article on Asia Graham, so it's in her nature to follow up. But so why doesn't she want to follow up with this? And we seem to have the reason why there is a suppression of the media of Richard's case. And, because so many people are implicated in the law enforcement community there, especially on Fort Bliss, and Richard's case, to tamper, to cover, and even Park University And so there's a lot of pressure to not cover this case because so many jobs are on the line. And not only jobs, people's lives are on the line. This, when you see that this involves more than just Richard's case, that these same people are involved in something else too, and it's just so evil and so criminal, and they're trying to protect that. They're putting every person in El Paso and on Fort Bliss in danger. And Angela Kucherga is helping them. They're, she's helping them put them in danger. And that means that Bob Moore of El Paso Matters is doing that also. And that means that KTEP is doing that also. And I don't know why Natasia Paloma doesn't have time to follow through with the Danae to get Danae back in there. Everyone knows who she is now. She's a credit card girl. She's a Jane Doe. She's the one that they sent her. They sent her. Okay? This is, she has connections with the CID. She has connections with Park University. She has connections with the Rochas. She has connections with the Ortegas. She has connections within Fort Bliss and with Leilani Hart. She is very cozy with Leilani Hart. Okay. So this is, these are all connected. And you would think that Natasia Paloma would call up and say, "Hey, Danae, I heard you were a con artist. I heard you were more than a con artist. You were sent to obstruct justice. Can you believe these lousy people that you work for? They use you as a human shield. You know, you're not even 25 years old, and they're putting you on the front line. They're gonna sell you out. I mean, they've played Danae and Belen so badly. You know, they've put them in such danger. And you would think that Natasia Paloma, being a woman, being a woman that has a career, and the same thing with Angela Kucherga, would want to look after these young women, right? That are being played and put in danger um, in the front lines of this criminal cabal that is absolutely criminal, y'all. It's absolutely criminal. And remember, they sent the PI in to, I'm going to investigate Richard's case. That we were played so bad with that. And we were played by Danae. We were played by Danae. We were played by Belen. We were played by Jay Paulin. These people are criminals. And, when I look at the ages of these two females, it, they didn't act on their own. That's my point. They were groomed into it, they were led into it, um, they were bought into it. And, you know, these people are so despicable. The ones that are trying to get the $1 billion, trying to get at least $400 million, right? They're trying to get their monies from the trafficking, the smuggling, and they have a lot to pay for, and they're trying to get their monies, and they're putting these young girls in front of them um, to take the hits. They've been totally played. And so, and I know that Danae has suffered mentally from what they've done to her. Okay. Because she told me. Now, was she a con artist and saying, all this stuff? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that was part of her con, is to say how mentally injured she was. And I know from the posts that the soldier put up, that was accused by Danae, that he felt like he had been shot by his command. He felt like he was shot, murdered, code redded, whatever, by his command. So is this a dual code red? Because he definitely, I have lots of screenshots of him. And he definitely, I don't know if he's part of uh the crime group. um I don't know, but accountability uh needs to be, and I don't see any way around this except for, I don't even know if life sentences, these people have committed, when you hear everything, it's so bad. And you saw what I posted up, our questions that we wanted answered um, about the autopsies. Why can't we get those answered? That should be very easily answered, um, by Judge Robert Shook, by the CID, by the CID Quantico. So we're going to submit them again, resubmit them, see what happens. Um, and we know that we have authorities looking into Marlon Soto. So that's breaking news. That's very good news, because it just got worse for him. It just got worse. And it's so bad that, this is not a game. Texas just executed just a few days ago a carjacker, right? A carjacker that killed a woman while he was carjacking. Well, what Marlon Soto did is far worse. What Leilani Hart has done, what Dallas Hart has done, what James Hart has done, as far as allegations, and we have hard evidence now, we have circumstantial evidence now, we have irregularities now, mounds of them, that we have enough for a jury to convict them. And this is, just like Jay Pollan, too, to convict Jay Pollan. And this is not a game. And Jay Pollan has two children, right? Younger children. And this is not a game. Um, this is very serious. And that's why we're giving you all this information, because if by somehow, some way, we could get information, because we need to get the justice right, and we need to get the timing right, the justice right. And um, so, Team Find Richard Halliday, um, especially, God bless you if you speak Spanish. God bless you if you are in the El Paso area, if you're on Fort Bliss, if you were on Fort Bliss, if you have very pertinent information about what's going on, if you are in Juarez, Mexico. God bless you for that, because, God puts you in certain places, and, just put your bootstraps on and do the right thing. Do the right thing. Um, because we're tired of the violence. We're tired of all the crimes. We're tired of the taxes having to pay for all of these crimes. Not only everything else, but the crimes on top of that, because we end up paying for it. And it prevents us from getting those beautiful roads, the beautiful buildings, the beautiful bridges, the free energy, that is absolutely out there. I'm convinced of that. So, there's so many things to do in this world, but a criminal society thwarts that. It thwarts our happiness. And so, look at what it did to Richard. And he saw something, he said something, and this is a group of people that absolutely have and will cut someone up. Absolutely will murder them and cut someone up. And we're getting to the bottom of where is his remains, right? And we want that answered. Where is his remains, and how can we get accountability that's so fitting, so fitting the crime that others will really think twice, three times, four times before they commit such a crime. That's the our our operation that we're trying to do. Thank you, Anicia, for coming on. Thank you, Dee, for coming on. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your love. Danielle, thank you for your prayers. And the red balloon, yes. And Patty, thank you so much for your prayers and your love. We're we are we have everything. It's just getting all of the letters out again, all of the new notifications out again, all of the supplementals out again, and waiting for the institutions that are looking into Marlon Soto, because that's a big one. That's the CID. Looking into these suspects and also into Leilani Hart and into Dallas Hart, because his whole, his, everything fell apart. And this is another thing that I want to mention that's very, very important is that July 9th was an important day and people need to understand what happened. It's very clear now, uh, the motive behind all of this. Richard pulled on a string, which means he saw Belen Rocha do some unthinkable things, and children were involved. He reported to CPS. He reported to CPS. He reported to CPS. CPS seems to have been controlled. There was an insider there. I don't know. It seems like she had connections to Park University also and CPS. Um, I believe her name is Claudia Guerra. Claudia Guerra, Park University, and had very close relationship with Thomas Kane. So another one that had a close relationship with Thomas Kane, Leilani Hart, close relationship with Thomas Kane, and Ogle, close relationship with Thomas Kane. Um, wow, you know, um, so there was surveillance footage that was tampered with, surveillance footage that was missing, and the funny things happening at the entrances on Fort Bliss. Those are, of course, very horrible things happening in the emergency intake center. That's all his baby. That's his baby, and he burnt us with that one. He got the money, but he didn't do the job, and so he needs to pay the price. He needs to pay the price for that. Okay, so Richard put in CPS complaints. I'm not saying, I don't know if that went to Ann Ogle, if it went to Claudia Guerra. I don't know, right? But I know that they were looking into CPS complaints on Fort Bliss. So I'm sure that office is not that big that they absolutely knew what was going on. Where are they? Why haven't they reported? Right? And why is that they're involved with Park University? Right? So he did that, and of course, Belen Rocha is connected to um, 3705 or well, 3905 Bliss Avenue, 3705 Bliss Avenue, which they're up to no good there. They're up to no good in those houses. And of course, the Van Buren that is also connected to these people. And there's a couple of them. It's not just one of them. And so, uh, by exposing, getting to have IG in the barracks, these are FBI complaints, these are CID complaints. So by exposing, you know, they were at risk for getting caught in other major crimes. And so, here Richard is trying to say, hey, you can't do this to kids, or you can't sell weapons, this whole weapon thing in the arms room, and this tactical move storage unit. Let's move that over to Mexico, right? That's how we can transport. But anyway, so the weapon smuggling and all of this, he pulled on a string, and it was, it's a big business, and so they tried to um, not kill him, but they tried to, you know, make his witness testimony non-admissible in court by turning him into a criminal. And so they organized this DUI. This is my opinion from what we have uncovered, that they tried to blacken him as far as his testimony, his credibility with the DUI. And when that didn't, and when he got arrested, he got arrested, he got the mugshot, right? He got the mugshot, and so from there, what they tried to do, well, what they did is a waterless waterboarding, right? They did a waterless waterboarding. They gave him a GOMAR. They made that GOMAR permanent. They And the whole basis for that was this DUI, right? That was the whole basis, was this DUI that was still an open case. It was still an open case. But they didn't care. You know, you're innocent until proven guilty. They didn't care. They they're they were so brazen that they thought, okay, we got him now. We had him arrested. We got his mugshot. And so now we're going to pound him with the GOMAR, with the permanent GOMAR, with the Chapter 14. And then when, he came out of the field and wanted to go for a drive by himself to go shoot his weapon, and he had to make that the construction there that we went to, and you can see the videos online. We went there, we talked to the foreman, the construction foreman. Absolutely, the semis did the same thing Richard did, but Richard self-reported. He never went over the border. We have the testimony from William Beaumont, the nurse at William Beaumont, on that one. But they pounded him for that. And what Captain Park tried to do is tried to make him a criminal out of asking for a U-turn, right? So they didn't do it. It failed. It failed miserably, but they still gave him the field grade Article 15 with maximum punishment, taking away 3 of his ranks, 3 ranks, okay, making him the lowest one on the totem pole, totally open for more bullying. And with this chaptering, that was then illegal, right? Because why are you giving someone a field grade Article 15 when you're chaptering them beforehand? That was always a real problem um, with the JAG officer there for Major General or Lieutenant General Bernabe. So that was really, there was a lot of legal gymnastics there, and they were blowing it. They were absolutely blowing it, but they were retaliating. They were doing the waterless waterboarding on Richard to get him to be so afraid, right? Make him so afraid that he would not say anything, that he would take back his whistleblowing complaints and not be a witness to their crimes. And then on, and I think maybe they succeeded a little bit, because the last video He was apologizing. He was so afraid. He was crying. He was apologizing. He was so afraid. He feared for his life. Absolutely. But see, July 9th came around and everything fell apart for them on that day because justice prevailed. And they said, this case, this DUI thing in the parking lot with this canine cop in the middle of the night and no video, no, uh, and we have information that he denied, right? That he refused. And so, they tampered with his files in the army. Did they tamper there at the El Paso Police Department? We don't know because there's two different stories. It's a soup sandwich again. And but good news, justice did prevail and they said there's nothing here. We can't do it. I'm not going to risk my career. This is going to be dismissed. And that came out on July 9th, 2020. Well, that decision, they were in crisis mode. Okay. Major General Clem Coward was in crisis mode. Lieutenant Colonel Michael Roddick was in crisis mode. Captain Park in crisis mode. Um, and anybody involved in what Richard was, and I think that was Dallas Hart, they were in crisis mode. And were they going to apologize to Richard? Were they going to give him back his ranks, rescind everything they did to him? Because now he had absolute the power to do it. And, we don't even believe that they gave him his rights properly when they waterboarded him. So, yeah, it's a big mess there for them. And so they just decided to escalate the code red, um, to escalate the waterboarding and absolutely murder him, and get their goons to dismember him. And you're going to be surprised because they had to dismember him and put him in many different locations because they couldn't have another Vanessa Guillen where you found her body in one grave that was so bad. I'm so glad that she was found because they didn't intend her to be found, okay? They didn't want her to be found. They wanted everything. They did everything they could um, to not have her found. And so yeah, I don't buy the story. The official narrative, I don't buy it. I really don't when it comes to Vanessa. I don't buy a lot of these official stories when I talk to the family and everything. So, and I know the official story with Richard has been absolutely botched over and over and over again, right? And so we've worked very, very hard to just get to the truth. And the truth is that he has no record, he has no criminal history, um, and he's a whistleblower. And they retaliated. And that fell apart on July 9th because the way they retaliated depended um, on that DUI, on that DUI. And everything fell apart then. And so they just decided, okay, we're going to have to just murder him. And so to me, that's the motive. And it's pretty awful, because the they could not now. He was very credible. He was made very credible by July 9th, 2020, and they couldn't have that. And there was too much money at stake, and there was their own lives at stake, because of their of their criminality, and they made Richard pay for their crime. So, uh, you know, so it's our duty to get justice for Richard. Yeah. Um, so we do have confirmation that they're going to look at Mexico. So that's very good news. Looking into Mexico and then also investigating Marlon Soto, investigating other key people in this case. So we are working behind the scenes. We are doing a lot, a lot. That's all and as information comes out, I will absolutely tell you. But I think putting those puzzle pieces together, I think we can all understand a little bit about what happened to Richard. It's starting to make sense. And um, it's just this, the prosecutor, you see, the prosecutor that's involved in this. And I have to tell you, and I haven't mentioned for a little bit, absolutely the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints um, is a common denominator. And, we've asked that church to come out and help us because these people are a common denominator with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And if that was my church, if I was a leader in that, um, I'd want to act on this because it makes them look really, really bad. Yeah. And they're supposed to be very patriotic, but it makes them look very, very bad because of this criminal cabal and chopping up a soldier. Um, yeah, it's no, they don't look too good. So I hope they pray that they come forward. Okay, thank you so much, everybody, for coming on. And if you have any questions, if you have any information, please let us know. We dropped a lot of names today and a lot of information. And, if you know anything about any of that, please let us know at 941-677-0060. Just leave a message. Okay, thank you so much. God bless you, and I will be